The bitter cold of the Atacama desert night bit through Dr. Thea Harrison's thermal suit as she carefully brushed away centuries of accumulated sand from the strange metallic surface before her. The archaeological dig site, hidden in one of Earth's driest places, had already yielded several unprecedented discoveries. But this was different. The object's smooth, iridescent surface seemed to absorb her headlamp's beam rather than reflect it. "Control, are you seeing this?" she whispered into her comm unit, adjusting the camera mounted on her helmet. The response came back scratchy through the harsh desert winds. "Affirmative, Dr. Harrison. Energy readings are unusual. Proceed with caution." Thea's gloved hands trembled slightly as she continued clearing the artifact. At first, she'd thought it was some kind of ancient spacecraft, but the more she uncovered, the less certain she became. The surface was seamless, with strange, flowing patterns that seemed to shift when viewed from different angles. "Dr. Patel's energy team is reporting some concerning spikes," Control added. "Maybe we should wait for dawn." Thea ignored the suggestion, her scientific curiosity overwhelming her caution. The patterns were starting to pulse with a faint, bluish light wherever her hands touched them. "There's some kind of reaction to physical contact," she reported, her heart racing with excitement. As she worked, more of the object became visible, a curved section that resembled a pod or capsule, roughly the size of a person. The pulsing light grew stronger, and Thea felt a strange warmth spreading through her hands despite the insulated gloves. "Dr. Harrison, we're getting dangerously high energy readings. Please step back immediately." But Thea couldn't move. The patterns had begun to spiral and flow like liquid metal, converging on a central point beneath her palm. She felt a resonance, a vibration that seemed to sync with her own heartbeat. "Something's happening," she breathed, watching in fascination as the surface beneath her hand became translucent. Through the otherworldly material, she could make out a humanoid figure floating in what appeared to be suspended animation. The next few moments happened in a blur. The pod's surface dissolved like morning mist, releasing a blast of energy that knocked Thea backward onto the sand. As she scrambled to her feet, she saw the figure stirring. A woman, but unlike any human she'd ever seen. The being's skin had a subtle, pearl-like luminescence, and her hair seemed to float as if suspended in water, despite the desert's harsh environment. When she opened her eyes, they glowed with an inner light that matched the pod's azure radiance. "Control, are you seeing this?" Thea whispered, but her comm unit had gone dead, along with all her other equipment. The luminescent woman attempted to stand but faltered. Without thinking, Thea rushed forward to catch her. The moment their skin made contact, Thea felt a jolt of energy course through her body, accompanied by a flood of fragmented images, vast starfields, ancient civilizations, and a terrible darkness consuming worlds. "Easy," Thea said softly, supporting the mysterious being's weight. "You're safe." The woman looked at her with those mesmerizing eyes, studying her face intently. When she spoke, her voice carried an ethereal quality, yet Thea understood her perfectly. "How long?" she asked, her grip on Thea's arms tightening slightly. "How long have I slept?" Thea glanced at the dating equipment they used earlier on the site. "Based on our preliminary analysis, at least 12,000 years." The woman closed her eyes, pain crossing her otherworldly features. "So long. The others, they must still sleep as well." She swayed slightly, and Thea felt her grip weaken. "What's wrong? How can I help?" "I am Neria of the Luminary," she whispered, her glow beginning to fade. "And I require energy. Human energy. Emotional energy. Without it, I cannot maintain this form." Thea's scientific mind raced with questions, but the urgency in Neria's voice was clear. "What do you need me to do?" "Physical contact. A sharing of life force. It will not harm you. My people evolved to form symbiotic bonds with compatible species." Neria's voice grew fainter. "Please, I have slept so long." Thea made her decision. "I'll help you," she said firmly, pulling Neria closer. Just tell me how. The moment their foreheads touched, Thea's world exploded into light. She felt Neria's consciousness brush against her own, ancient, powerful, yet somehow gentle. Energy flowed between them, and with it came understanding. The Luminary were guardians, peacekeepers of the cosmic web who had been forced into hibernation by a terrible enemy. An enemy that would return if they sensed the Luminary awakening. As the energy exchange continued, Thea felt herself growing stronger rather than weaker, her senses sharpening, her mind expanding. When they finally separated, Neria's glow had returned, stronger than before. She looked at Thea with wonder. Extraordinary, she breathed. Your species, you're different. Most races we bonded with could only provide energy, but you amplify it, enhance it. Before Thea could respond, the ground trembled beneath their feet. In the distance, strange lights began to appear in the sky, lights that seemed to absorb the stars around them. They're coming, Neria whispered, pulling Thea close. The ones who forced us into sleep. They must have sensed our awakening. Who? Thea asked, though part of her already knew the answer from the shared memories. The Shadowkin. They fear what your species might become with our help. Neria's eyes met hers. Will you stand with me, Thea Harrison? Will you help me wake the others before it's too late? Thea looked at the approaching lights, then back at the extraordinary being beside her. Everything she thought she knew about human history, about humanity's place in the cosmos, had changed in a single night. Yes, she said firmly, feeling their new bond pulse with shared purpose. Whatever it takes. As if in response to her words, more pods began to emerge from the desert sand, their surfaces beginning to pulse with that same azure light. The race to awaken the Luminary had begun, and humanity's role in the cosmic order was about to change forever. Dawn painted the Atacama sky in shades of purple and gold as Thea's research vehicle sped across the desert terrain. Beside her, Neria sat with unnatural stillness, her luminescent skin dimmed to avoid detection. In the rearview mirror, Thea could see military helicopters circling the dig site they'd abandoned hours ago. Your government's response was predictable, Neria observed, her voice carrying that strange, melodic quality that made Thea's skin tingle. All species fear what they don't understand. Thea gripped the steering wheel tighter, feeling their bond pulse with shared anxiety. The energy exchange had left her changed, her senses sharper, her mind processing information at an accelerated rate. They tracked the energy signature from the awakening. We need somewhere safe, somewhere to plan our next move. A faint smile touched Neria's ethereal features. There is a place. I can sense another pod, dormant but intact. The memories are fragments, but... She closed her eyes, concentrating. Northwest, in what you now call the Andes Mountains. The military-grade tablet on the dashboard crackled to life, displaying a message from Dr. Raj Patel. Whatever you found out there, half the world's governments are looking for it. Satellite coverage expanding. Be careful. Thea had worked with Raj on previous archaeological projects involving unusual energy signatures. If anyone would understand what they'd discovered, it would be him. But involving others meant risk to them, and risk to Neria. As if reading her thoughts, Neria placed her hand over Thea's. The contact sent a surge of energy through their bond, images of ancient battles and fallen civilizations flickering between their minds. Your friend studies the energies between worlds. We will need his help to awaken the others. The Shadowkin, Thea remembered. You showed me what they did to your people. Why do they fear us so much? Neria's glow intensified slightly as she spoke. Most species we encountered could provide us energy, but it was always one-directional. They would weaken while we grew stronger. But humans... She traced a pattern of light across Thea's arm. You don't just provide energy. You amplify it, enhance it, make it into something new. The potential for growth is unlimited. Their conversation was interrupted by a low-flying drone passing overhead. Neria instantly dimmed her luminescence, but not before the drone's sensors registered a spike in energy readings. Behind them, the helicopters changed course. "They've spotted us," Thea muttered, pressing the accelerator. The research vehicle wasn't built for high-speed chases, but she knew these roads, knew the hidden paths through the mountains that no helicopter could follow. "We're not alone." Neria suddenly straightened, her eyes fixed on the horizon. Another awakening. Someone else found a pod. Thea felt it through their bond, a distant pulse of familiar energy. Where? Close. Very close. And Neria's eyes widened. The Shadowkin have sensed it too. The sky above them began to darken unnaturally, stars disappearing behind a spreading void. The temperature dropped rapidly, frost forming on the vehicle's windows despite the desert heat. "They're manifesting," Neria whispered, her glow intensifying in response to the threat. "After so long in the void between worlds, they'd grown stronger than I remember." Thea could feel Neria's fear through their connection, but also her determination. Making a split-second decision, she turned the vehicle off the main road onto a barely visible track that led into the mountains. "The other awakening," Thea said as they bounced over the rough terrain. "Can you guide us to them? Maybe together." Neria nodded, her hair floating with ethereal energy. "Yes, the bond between luminary grows stronger in proximity. But we must hurry. The Shadowkin will attempt to corrupt any awakening they find." The tablet crackled again with Raj's voice. "Thea, massive energy disturbances detected in your area. Whatever you found, it's causing quantum fluctuations unlike anything we've ever seen. I'm heading to my private lab in the mountains. Coordinates attached." The coordinates aligned almost perfectly with the direction Neria was guiding them. "Your friend's facility," Neria mused. "It sits upon an ancient nexus point. My people used such locations to amplify our abilities. Perhaps that's why he was drawn to study there." As they climbed higher into the mountains, the unnatural darkness followed, tendrils of void energy reaching for their vehicle. Thea could feel Neria weakening beside her, the Shadowkin's presence disrupting her ability to process human energy. "Hold on," Thea said, taking Neria's hand. Their bond flared to life, and Thea instinctively pushed her own energy through it. Neria gasped as her glow brightened, the darkness recoiling from the enhanced light. "Impossible," Neria breathed, staring at their joined hands. "You're not just providing energy, you're teaching my body how to generate it more efficiently. No species has ever." A massive tremor shook the mountain, cutting off her words. Ahead of them, the air itself seemed to tear open, revealing a figure stumbling out of another pod. This luminary had darker skin that shimmered like the night sky, their glow a deep purple compared to Neria's azure. But behind them, the darkness was coalescing into humanoid shapes. The Shadowkin, their forms seeming to absorb light itself. They reached for the newly awakened luminary, with tendrils of void energy. "No," Neria cried out, her power flaring. The bond between her and Thea pulsed, and suddenly Thea knew exactly what to do. She slammed the brakes, spinning the vehicle sideways, and focused every bit of her emotion, her determination, her very humanity into their connection. Neria's form became almost blindingly bright, her power enhanced by Thea's energy in ways that defied the laws of physics. The wave of light that exploded from them sent the Shadowkin reeling, their darkness momentarily pushed back. The other luminaries seized the opportunity, running toward their vehicle with inhuman speed. As the newcomer dove into the backseat, Thea was already accelerating, heart pounding as she navigated the treacherous mountain road. Above them, the military helicopters had caught up, their searchlights cutting through the unnatural darkness. "I am Chorus," the new luminary spoke, their voice carrying the same melodic quality as Neria's. "And I believe, Dr. Harrison, that you and your kind are about to change everything we thought we knew about the cosmic order." The darkness behind them writhed with malevolent purpose as they sped toward Raj's facility. The race to awaken and protect the luminary had gained both an ally and greater urgency, and somewhere in the back of her mind, Thea couldn't help but wonder how many more pods were out there, waiting to be discovered. Dr. Raj Patel's private research facility was carved directly into the mountainside, its modern architecture blending seamlessly with the ancient rock. As Thea's vehicle approached the reinforced gates, security systems automatically engage, responding to her credentials. "The energy readings here," Chorus murmured from the backseat, their deep purple glow reflecting off the windows. "They mirror the sacred nexus points of our temples." Neria nodded, her azure luminescence pulsing in agreement. "This is no coincidence. Your friend has been studying our old power sources without realizing it." The facility's garage door rolled open, revealing Raj's lean figure waiting inside. His dark eyes widened at the sight of the two luminari, but his voice remained steady. "When you said you found something unprecedented, Thea, I thought maybe some pre-Incan artifacts." "Not." He gestured at their glowing passengers, actual aliens who apparently feed on human energy. "Dr. Patel." Neria inclined her head gracefully as she stepped from the vehicle. "Your work on quantum resonance patterns brought you closer to understanding our technology than any human before you." Raj's scientific curiosity visibly overcame his initial shock. "The energy signatures I've been tracking, the anomalies in the quantum field, they're all connected to your people." Before anyone could respond, the facility's alarms blared. On the security screens, they watched as the unnatural darkness that had been pursuing them began seeping through the mountain rocks themselves. "The Shadowkin," Chorus's voice carried an ancient hatred. "They've learned to traverse solid matter in their time between worlds." Raj rushed to his main control panel, fingers flying over the holographic displays. The facility's quantum shielding might slow them down, but these readings, they're like nothing I've ever seen. They're not just dark matter or negative energy. They're something that shouldn't exist in our universe at all. Through their bond, Thea felt Neria's growing concern that they've grown stronger than we ever imagined. 12,000 years in the void has changed them. The darkness seeped through the walls like liquid shadow, coalescing into humanoid shapes that seemed to devour light itself. Their voices, when they spoke, resonated directly in everyone's minds. The luminary must not rise again. The human potential must be contained. Rage activated additional security measures, but the quantum barriers passed right through the Shadowkin as if they weren't there. "Any suggestions?" he asked, backing away from the advancing darkness. Thea reached for Neria's hand instinctively, their bond flaring to life. Beside them, Chorus's purple glow intensified. "We need more power," Neria stated. "The nexus point beneath this facility. Can you access it?" "The geothermal tap." Rad's eyes lit up with understanding. "Yes, but it's not just geothermal energy down there. There's something else, something that's been interfering with my experiments for years." "Another pod," Chorus and Neria said simultaneously. "A Guardian's pod." The Shadowkin pressed closer, their darkness beginning to affect the facility's equipment. Screens flickered and died, and the temperature dropped rapidly. "The lower labs," Raj decided, leading them toward a heavily reinforced elevator. "Whatever's down there, it's our best chance." As they descended, Thea felt the energy around them changing, growing stronger. Both luminary began to glow brighter in response, their power resonating with something deep below. The elevator opened into a vast chamber dominated by sophisticated research equipment, all centered around a pulsing crystal formation that emerged from the rock wall. But it wasn't natural crystal. Its surface bore the same flowing patterns as the pods. "All this time," Raj breathed, "I thought it was just an unusual geological formation. A guardian sanctuary." Neria approached the crystal reverently. "One of our most powerful warriors, sealed away to protect something vital." The Shadowkin's darkness poured down the elevator shaft behind them, but now their advance seemed hesitant. Their shadowy forms rippled with what might have been concern. "The sanctuary must not be opened," they projected. "The weapon must remain sealed." Weapon. Thea looked at Nerea questioningly. Through their bond, understanding flowed. Not a weapon, Nerea corrected. Knowledge. The Guardian protects the complete history of our people, including, her eyes widened, including how to awaken all the remaining pods simultaneously. The Shadowkin attacked then, tendrils of void energy lashing out at them. Chorus met them with waves of purple light, but was quickly pushed back. Whatever we're going to do, we need to do it now. Raj's hands flew over his equipment. The crystal's energy signature. It's responding to their presence, but it needs more power, something to catalyze the activation. Human energy, Thea realized. She grabbed Nerea's hand and reached for Chorus with her other. Both of you, channel everything through me. Thea, no. Raj shouted. The power levels could kill you. But through their bond, Nerea understood. She's right. Humans don't just provide energy. They enhance it, transform it. Together, the three of them connected, and Thea's world exploded into light and sensation. She felt the full power of both luminary flowing through her, not draining her but somehow growing stronger, changing into something new. Her consciousness expanded, touching the crystal, recognizing the patterns. The sanctuary crystal erupted with blinding light, forcing even the Shadowkin back. Within its faceted surface, a new figure began to take shape, tall, majestic, their glow a brilliant gold that dwarfed even Nerea and Chorus's power. The Guardian emerged from their ancient prison, opening eyes that shone like miniature suns. When they spoke, their voice carried the weight of millennia. I am Zenith, Guardian of Memory, and humanity has proven itself worthy of our legacy. The Shadowkin's darkness roiled with ancient fear as Zenith raised their hands. Golden light filled the chamber, driving back the void energy. But more importantly, information began flowing through all of them. The location of every remaining pod on Earth, the keys to awakening them, and the true nature of humanity's role in the cosmic order. The Shadowkin retreated, their shadowy forms dissolving into nothing. But Thea knew they weren't gone for good. Through her expanded awareness, she could feel their darkness spreading across the globe, searching for other pods before they could be awakened. As the golden light faded, Thea found herself supported by both Nerea and Chorus, their combined energy keeping her stable as her body adjusted to the massive power that had flowed through her. Impossible, Zenith murmured, studying her with those solar eyes. No species has ever survived channeling that much of our power, let alone enhanced it. They turned to Raj, who was frantically documenting everything on his surviving equipment. Your kind truly is different. That's why they fear us, Thea said softly, understanding at last. Not just because we can help you, but because together we could become something entirely new. Zenith nodded gravely. The Shadowkin fear change above all else. And what is coming, what you humans and we luminary will create together, will change everything. Outside the facility, dawn was breaking over the mountains. But somewhere in the darkness between worlds, ancient powers were gathering, preparing to prevent the awakening that could reshape the cosmic order forever. The next 48 hours transformed Raj's mountain facility into a global command center for what he jokingly called Operation Starlight. Satellite feeds and news reports from around the world showed similar scenes playing out across continents. Mysterious pods emerging from ancient sites, military forces scrambling to contain them, and shadows that moved against the laws of physics. Thea stood at the main control hub, her enhanced senses processing multiple data streams simultaneously. The bond she shared with Nerea had grown stronger, allowing her to perceive energy patterns that normal humans couldn't detect. Beside her, Zenith's golden glow illuminated a holographic map marking known pod locations. 7 more awakened in the past hour, Raj reported, his fingers dancing across floating displays. But we lost contact with the team in Siberia. The Shadowkin are learning, adapting their tactics. Through the facility's reinforced windows, Thea could see Chorus working with a group of carefully selected military personnel who had chosen to ally with them. The luminaries' purple energy flowed between the soldiers as they learned to channel and enhance their power, just as Thea had done. "They're progressing faster than we anticipated," Neria observed, her azure light pulsing with approval. "Human adaptation continues to exceed our models." Zenith's solar eyes narrowed slightly. Perhaps too fast. The Shadowkin's fear of human potential may not be entirely unfounded. A sudden alert drew their attention back to the monitors. In Egypt, another pod had been discovered beneath the Sphinx. But this time, the Shadowkin had arrived first. The live feed showed tendrils of darkness wrapping around the pod, trying to corrupt its occupant before they could fully awaken. Local military forces fired advanced energy weapons, developed using Raj's research, but the shadows simply absorbed the attacks. "They're getting desperate," Thea noted, feeling the situation's urgency through her bond with Neria. "They know if we manage to awaken all the pods, the balance of power shifts permanently," Zenith finished. "Humanity's ability to enhance our abilities rather than simply fuel them changes everything they've worked millennia to maintain." Raj's screen suddenly flickered with interference. Multiple quantum disturbances detected. "They're trying something new." The shadows around the Egyptian pod began to condense, forming into something massive. The darkness took shape as a creature from humanity's deepest nightmares, a writhing mass of void energy that devoured light itself. "A Nexus shadow," Zenith's voice carried ancient recognition. "They've learned to combine their essence. We need to act now." Thea felt Neria's hand slip into hers, their energies automatically synchronizing. "The awakening protocol you showed us," Thea said to Zenith. "Could we modify it? Use the nexus point beneath this facility to reach that pod." "The distance is too great," Zenith began, but Raj cut in, his eyes bright with sudden inspiration. "Maybe not. The quantum resonance patterns I've been studying, they're not just random energy signatures. They're a network connecting all these ancient sites." Chorus strode in, followed by several soldiers now glowing with faint purple energy. "Like the pathways our people use to travel between worlds," they added. "If we could access that network, we'd need an enormous amount of power," Neria cautioned. "More than even all of us combined could generate." Thea looked at the soldiers, each now capable of channeling and enhancing luminary energy. "What about all of us? Not just the luminary, but every human who's learned to bond with your power. A global network, all focusing their energy through this nexus point." Zenith's golden glow intensified. "It's never been attempted. The strain on the human participants would be distributed through the network." Raj finished, his hands flying over the controls, each person acting as both a power source and an amplifier. Theoretically, the facility's lights flickered as the nexus shadow in Egypt grew stronger. On other screens, more shadows were converging, pooling their darkness into similar monstrosities around the world. "We don't have a choice," Thea declared. "Either we try this now, or we lose everything." Through their bond, she felt Neria's agreement, tinged with concern for her safety. But there was also pride, and something deeper, a growing realization that humanity wasn't just helping the luminary return. They were helping them evolve into something greater. Raj activated the global communication network they'd established with other awakened pods and their human allies. "All stations, prepare for synchronized energy transfer. Channel everything through your local nexus points on my mark." Thea felt Neria's power merging with hers as they approached the sanctuary crystal. Chorus and their soldiers formed a circle around them, while Zenith took position at the crystal's apex, their golden energy beginning to pulse in rhythm with the Earth's own magnetic field. "Remember," Zenith cautioned, "this isn't about raw power, it's about transformation. Let the energy flow through you, but also guide it, shape it, make it into something new." Across the world, humans and luminary joined hands. Soldiers, scientists, and civilians who had chosen to embrace this new future, all connected through the ancient network that had laid dormant for 12,000 years. As Raj began the countdown, Thea felt the power building. Through her enhanced senses, she could perceive the global web of energy forming, brilliant points of light pushing back against the encroaching darkness. Now, Raj commanded. The sanctuary crystal erupted with blinding radiance as every participant channeled their energy through the network. Thea felt her consciousness expanding, touching minds across continents as human and luminary power merged and transformed. The quantum pathways blazed to life, carrying their combined power to every pod on Earth. At the same time, that power was changing, becoming something neither human nor luminary, but a perfect synthesis of both. In Egypt, the Nexus shadow recoiled as golden light erupted from the pod, its occupant awakening not to darkness, but to the combined power of two species working in perfect harmony. Similar scenes played out around the globe as pods activated simultaneously, their occupants emerging into a world where humanity had already begun to unlock its true potential. Through the quantum network, Thea felt each awakening, each new consciousness adding to their shared power. But more importantly, she felt the fear in the Shadowkin's combined consciousness. Fear not of what humanity might become, but of what they already were. The age of shadows was ending. The age of light was about to begin. The world held its breath as twin forces gathered for their final confrontation. Across every continent, Nexus shadows pooled their darkness, merging into entities of impossible scale. But they no longer faced scattered resistance. Humanity and the luminary had evolved beyond what either species thought possible. In Raj's mountain facility, now the epicenter of their combined power, Thea stood with her hand clasped in Nerea's. Through their enhanced bond, she could feel the pulse of every human luminary connection across the globe. Each pairing unique, each discovering new ways to transform and amplify their shared energy. The Shadowkin are preparing their final assault, Zenith announced, their golden glow reflecting off banks of monitoring equipment. They'll try to corrupt the quantum network itself. Raj's fingers flew over holographic controls, tracking the approaching darkness. They're attacking the ancient pathways between nexus points. If they succeed, our global network collapses. Let them come, Chorus declared, their purple energy swirling with newfound confidence. Around them, the soldiers they'd trained stood ready, each now capable of channeling and enhancing luminary power in ways that defied conventional physics. Through their bond, Thea felt Nerea's mixture of pride and concern. This is what they always feared, Nerea said softly. Not just humanity's potential, but how our species could transform each other. Create something entirely new. The facility's sensors screamed as void energy began seeping through reality itself. The Shadowkin had abandoned subtlety. Now they sought only to overwhelm and destroy. All nexus points, Raj commanded through their global network, prepare for synchronized defense. Remember your training. Don't just resist the darkness. Transform it. Thea felt the first assault hit their quantum barriers. The Shadowkin's power had grown immense during their millennia in the void, but so had humanity's capacity for adaptation. Where shadows touched human-enhanced luminary energy, they found themselves being changed, reshaped by the very forces they sought to corrupt. Impossible, the Shadowkin's unified consciousness boomed through their minds. This power, this transformation, it cannot be allowed. Zenith stepped forward, solar eyes blazing. You feared change so much that you forced us into hibernation. But in doing so, you gave us time to find the perfect partners. A species that doesn't just accept change, but thrives on it. Around the world, humanity proved Zenith's words true. Each bonded pair discovered new ways to manipulate energy, their combined power growing stronger through innovation rather than mere accumulation. The Shadowkin's attempt to corrupt the network backfired as humans instinctively adapted their defensive techniques, turning the void energy back upon itself. But the Shadowkin had one final gambit. At each nexus point, their darkness began to coalesce into forms drawn from human consciousness, manifestations of primal fears given shape by void energy. They sought to use humanity's own psyche against them. Through their bond, Thea felt Neria's sudden understanding. "They still don't understand," she whispered. "Fear doesn't weaken humanity. It drives them to overcome, to evolve." Raj monitors showed similar revelations occurring at nexus points worldwide. Bonded pairs faced their manifested fears not with terror, but with determination. Each confrontation led to new discoveries, new ways of transforming energy. "Now," Zenith commanded, "channel everything through the sanctuary crystal. Not just power, but understanding. Show them what humanity truly is." Thea closed her eyes, feeling Neria's essence merge completely with her own. Around them, Chorus and their soldiers added their energy to the mix. Raj's fingers danced across his controls, synchronizing their output with every nexus point on Earth. Through their expanded consciousness, Thea touched the Shadowkin's unified mind. She showed them not just humanity's potential for power, but their capacity for growth, for transformation, for turning darkness into light. The sanctuary crystal erupted with radiance that transcended the visible spectrum. Human emotion and intellect merged with luminary energy, creating something that even Zenith's ancient knowledge couldn't fully comprehend. Where this transformed energy touched the Shadowkin's darkness, it didn't destroy, it converted. Their void energy began to change, becoming something new, something that bridged the gap between light and shadow. "You see," Thea projected through the network, her consciousness expanded by Neria's power. "This is what you feared. Not destruction, but evolution." The Shadowkin's unified consciousness reeled as understanding flooded through them. Across the globe, their darkness began to shift, to change, to become something that could exist in harmony with light, rather than attempting to devour it. "We," the Shadowkin's voice had changed, carrying notes of wonder among the ancient fear. "We never imagined." "Because you chose to stop imagining," Zenith declared. "You chose stasis over growth, fear over potential. But there's another way." The transformed energy continued to spread through the quantum network, touching every corner of the planet. Where light and shadow met, they no longer clash but merge, creating patterns of impossible beauty. In the aftermath, as the new energy patterns stabilized, Thea stood with Neria at the facility's observation window. The mountain sunrise painted the sky in colors that their enhanced perception revealed as far more complex than either species could see alone. "It's not an ending," Neria mused, her azure glow synchronizing with the dawn's light. "It's a beginning." Raj approached, his equipment tracking the unprecedented energy signatures now emanating from the quantum network. "The Shadowkin, they're not gone, but they're different. The void energy is transforming into something we barely understand." "Good," Thea said firmly. "Understanding everything would mean we've stopped growing. And if humanity and the luminary have proven anything, it's that growth is what we do best." Chorus finished, joining them with their soldiers. Each human now bore traces of purple energy that had become permanently part of them, just as the luminary had been changed by their human bonds. Zenith's golden light pulsed with approval as they monitored the global changes through the sanctuary crystal. The age of division is over. Light, shadow, human, luminary, all will evolve together. Through their bond, Thea felt Neria's joy and excitement for the future they would build. A future where humanity's potential wasn't just unlocked, but continuously expanding, transforming not just themselves, but all who chose to grow with them. Outside, the sunrise continued painting the sky in colors that had never existed before, a perfect symbol of the new dawn they had created together.